Alright, hi. I am making this video to show you how my solar inverter panel is set up and the basic minimum that you'll need if you're setting it up yourself. You should get in Sparky if you don't know how yourself, or you don't at least know the basics. But if you're going to ignore that, which you probably are if you're googling this and YouTubing it, I'm going to run you through what I've got as the minimum. Alright, so I've got my inverter running there. Batteries. Now linking your batteries up is easy, just like any car batteries, but the main thing you've got to worry about with these is these big fat cables carrying high current. The length of them will affect the resistance along the cable and change the output at the other end if the length is too much different. So each two cables you do, make them the same length. Doesn't matter if they're hanging out a bit more or whatever, and the same with all the sets of cables you do from the batteries, the high current ones, make sure they are matching in length, positive, negative. And the ones going from the batteries in parallel into here, all these four are the same length. These two are the same length going from the joiner box, and that's just got some big fat joiners you got to buy to join these up into the isolator switches. Two big isolator switches, one for the batteries, one for the solar panels coming in. You need those. You need an isolator switch coming off your solar panels, a waterproof one sitting out there that the solar panels run into, and then direct from the solar panels into this isolator and then into your inverter. Your batteries into there, into the isolator and into the inverter. On the other side, I've got the main isolator switch for the inverter supply, so that cuts off the inverter supply to anything, and then individual isolator switches for each of the plugs you put on, or outputs. You can have a breaker box, make this a breaker box that just, these are your individual ones and they go into your house power if you're doing it that way. But if you're putting little plugs on, each one of them should have an isolator. Every plug should have an isolator or a breaker. And that's just a meter on the other side. And that's pretty much all you need. So just make sure when your solar panels have an isolator, they come into the batteries. Make sure the battery cables are the same length into a breaker switch, safety breaker switch, and your panels are coming into one as well. And breakers on everything. And your earth cable. This one goes down into a pin in